What's up, y'all? My name is Dan. So, some rumors and some articles say that Boeing is planning on making not one but two new variants for the Boeing 787, including an extended range version of the 787-9 and a 787-10, with higher gross weights that would allow them to carry more fuel to fly further distances. The main focus of this seems to be on the Boeing 787-10ER. One of the main problems of the original aircraft is that it doesn't have enough range to neither compete with the A350-900 nor to replace the 777-200ER. An ER version will have more payload capabilities that would allow for the airliner to carry more cargo or fuel and would most likely add 1,000 nautical miles of range compared to its current version, basically matching the range of the 777-200ER. And while its range will still be shorter than the A350, it's still much more competitive than the current 787-10 version. The 787-9ER is quite intriguing. The original Dash 9 has a very long range, but there's still a bit of an argument for a longer range version of this aircraft. It allows for more cargo capability than the current Dash 9, which means it can either carry more cargo or more fuel to fly longer distances than the already ultra-long haul flights that are currently operated. Some rumors say that this is Boeing giving another shot at Project Sunrise, and I can definitely see the argument for that. Its capacity is lower than the A350 1000 ULR, and Qantas already operates the 787-9. Plus, other airlines could possibly be into it to launch ultra-long haul flights of their own. And even if Qantas doesn't want it, it can still be a success. Now, when it comes to what airlines would order this aircraft, I made a list of 12 airlines that could be interested in either one of these 787 variants. First, there's Air New Zealand. They seem to be very interested in the longer range version of the Dash 10. They already have the Dash 10 that they mainly use to fly to Asia, as well as the Dash 9. The long-range 787-10 would fly on routes to North America such as Los Angeles, San Francisco, Vancouver, and Houston, with a full payload for the most part, something they couldn't really do with the original plane. It also would act as a replacement for the 777-300ER that has already been retired and the 777-300ER that will soon be retired. Qantas, as mentioned before, might be a candidate for the Dash 9 because of Project Sunrise. Qantas envisioned to fly from Sydney to London and New York. Qantas already shows the Airbus A350 1000 ULR for this purpose, but some people say that there's potential for Qantas to possibly change their mind or something because they already have the original 787-9 and because this would be easier to fill than the A350. Some other routes could also include flights from the east coast of Australia to Chicago, Sao Paulo, Paris, Frankfurt, Amsterdam, and others. But I also see the Dash 10ER in Qantas, mainly because Qantas will eventually retire the Airbus A380 sooner or later. So this could act as a good replacement for those aircraft in the busier routes that the A350 has flown, such as Los Angeles, Dallas, and Singapore. United Airlines might also be another candidate for the two aircraft. The Dash 10ER could allow for flights to Asia or Europe that might have the demand but are too long for the 787-10, while the 787-9ER could be used for ultra-long haul flights that aren't possible with the Dash 9, such as Houston to Melbourne, Houston to Johannesburg, and flights to India and East Asia from other hubs, maybe even some long-haul routes from Denver. American Airlines could also be a candidate for the Dash 9ER that American could use to add more ultra long haul routes, such as possibly Dallas to Melbourne, Charlotte to Johannesburg, Dallas to Delhi, flights from Dallas to East Asia, and others. Maybe this could allow for Seattle to Bangalore to operate more efficiently. The 787-10ER could be considered if American ever decides to retire the 777-200s in the 2030s, maybe. A 787-9ER could also possibly work for Air Canada on routes from Canada, which is very far north, to destinations that are too far south, such as flights to Australia, South Africa, that are quite long. Maybe it can also work for flights to India and East Canada to East Asia. Since LATAM Airlines retired the Airbus A350-900s, LATAM Brazils could also possibly order the 787-10ER to be used on the flights that the A350-900s would have flown on. Flights that are also too busy for the 787-9 or the 767, but not busy enough for the 777-300ER, mainly from Sao Paulo to maybe Lisbon, Madrid, Miami, and others. India is a very popular market from the US and Canada. The problem is that it's just too far from North America. Air India could do with the Dash 9ER, which could open up new routes that are too long or routes that aren't busy enough for the 777-200ER, such as Chicago, Houston, Los Angeles. Maybe Bangalore to San Francisco could be flown on this as well. Maybe it can also be used for shorter routes that are too busy for the 787-8 or the 777. The 787-9ER could work well for Ethiopian Airlines because Addis Ababa is a great connecting hub for Africa, but its high elevation doesn't allow for many non-stop long-haul flights. It could maybe allow for direct flights from Addis Ababa to places such as New York, Toronto, or Tokyo, and near routes such as Taipei or Perth. Turkish Airlines could also use the 787-9ER to add longer long-stop flights to places that are further out from their main hub in Istanbul in North and South America as well as Australia. Some possibilities are direct non-stop flights to Mexico City, Bogota, Buenos Aires, Sydney, and Melbourne. If the 787-9ER could make it from Australia to England, it could also make it to Amsterdam for KLM to use for routes into Australia, especially since KLM has a lot of flights to the United Kingdom that could connect these flights. The -10ER could also work for them as a sort of replacement for the 777-200ER in the future for some longer flights to South America and Asia. Qatar Airways and Emirates, the giants that connect a lot of places, could do with an order for the 787-9ER, especially Qatar because it's been having all their drama with Airbus, but the 787-9ER could work well for both of them because similarly they could add more routes from Doha and Dubai to places like New Zealand and Latin America. 787-10ER could possibly also work well for Qatar, since it could add more flexibility to the airline's operations on some long-haul routes. ANA and Japan Airlines, with the 787-9, these two could begin flights from Tokyo into places in the Americas and maybe Africa. Japan Airlines could fly it to Miami or Charlotte, while maybe ANA could fly these to Bogota or Panama City or Johannesburg, while ANA could order this -10ER to fly into Australia and Europe. This could also apply to EVA Air getting the 787-9 for flights into North America and Europe and others from Taipei. They're not the only airlines that I think would want to fly the 787-9 or 10ER, but they're the ones that stood out in my opinion. I mostly mentioned long-haul routes that this aircraft would be used on, especially the -9ER, but that doesn't mean that some won't be used for some shorter routes to possibly increase aircraft utilization. And in the case of some US airlines or Air Canada that have several hubs, you could probably see it in some shorter hub to hub routes to switch from one base to another. I'm sure airlines will find a purpose for these during their downtime when they're not flying ultra long haul routes, so I definitely see the potential for these 277 variants to succeed, assuming they're actually built. Thanks for watching. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. If y'all got any comments, questions, anything, y'all can leave a comment. That's all I got to say, and I'll see y'all later.